There was once upon a time in Warriors life where it just felt like if Steph Curry was not on the floor, you did not have a chance to win this game. But for whatever reason, I felt good coming into it. Like the Warriors were going to give it a fight after they were exposed a little bit against the Nuggets. And they did just that, racing out to a huge lead, blowing that lead, and then collecting everything together in the fourth quarter with some big shots from Podziemski, who returns the mix, and a great overall game from Butler and, quite frankly, the entire team. Let's give out some game balls and talk about a win. That's up next.
Who cares now? Because I'm here, and I would like to think that I am wanted here.
Most importantly, he a dog.
We got 4 championships.
You are Locked On Warriors.
I know Jimmy drinks great wine.
Your daily Golden State Warriors podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Speculation is just what it is, though.
Your team every day.
Oh, how about it, everyone? What do you say? Welcome to Locked On Warriors. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Final score, Warriors 104. Milwaukee, sorry about it. Better luck next time. 0-2 against the Warriors this season. They put up 93, and the Warriors win by 11. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your audio podcast. Be sure to subscribe. It is free. Give us the thumbs up and leave a comment. Hop in that section with over 16,000 Golden State Warriors fans. You can also find our newsletter at lockedondaily.com. Go ahead and subscribe. It's free. It'll be delivered right to your inbox and has a lot of good Warriors news, notes, and nuggets. My name, Charlie Walter, formerly of 95.7 The Game. That's the flagship station for the Golden State Warriors. Also covered the team in their championship run for CBS News Bay Area. Call letters are KPIX. Matt Kolsky, KNBR, formerly, also worked with me at 95.7 The Game. Whoa! Well, I mean, what do you say, man? This was one that on paper you thought the Bucks had the advantage. Warriors were given points, rightfully so, missing Steph Curry in the game, but they're now 7-3 without Curry on the floor. This one had some layers to it, just like yesterday's game. I guess you could start with the fact that the Warriors came out hot. They were shooting the three ball exceptional. Everyone seemed to be playing well. There was a point in the first half where I think 4 guys for the Dubs had 8 points. So you were stretching the floor. You were playing unselfish basketball. And the Warriors were up by as much as 17. Then halftime hit. They went to the locker rooms. They talked it out during recess. They get back out there. And the Monstars stole their talent for the entire third quarter, just about the entire third quarter. Warriors turned it over 10 times. They were down by 6 with 90 seconds to go in the quarter, and that is where the momentum clearly shifted, starting with a huge Buddy Hield 3 off a turnover, a little stop and pop from deep. Buddy was huge. We'll get into that. And then moments later, Jimmy Butler fouled on a three-pointer, definitely baited it. It's about over-under about a 14.5-minute challenge there. Took a little bit, but eventually they said that Butler did get hit on the elbow, hits all 3 free throws, and I don't know if the Warriors ever trailed again. Butler sparks it in the fourth, and Podziemski closes it out with great defense from Payton and from Draymond. I think we covered just about everything in that elevator pitch right there. Kolsky, welcome to you. What a win, man.
Huge win. It did get ugly. But, you know, if you take out about the first, what was it? I don't know, 9 minutes of the third quarter, this thing was great. Like, if you can just wipe that from your memory, great night all around. You mentioned it. Pretty much everybody played well, the exception of Jonathan Kuminga, who just didn't have it tonight. I mean, they're better without Steph Curry, right? That's the takeaway.
No.
I don't know. No? Okay. All right. Well, if it's not that, I think clearly
it was focus issue. They didn't have the focus. They were sleepwalking against Denver, and they knew that tonight this was a bounce-back game where they had to show that without their leader, they could go out there and compete in a basketball game. And that's what they did, man. They competed. They fought their tails off. They played unselfish. And it helps when you hit some shots because they were, 25% from 3 in the last game. They were 38 today.
Yeah, but they weren't great shooting the ball overall. What they did tonight is, as you said, compete. They played great defense all night long. Everybody out there was defending the heck out of the ball. And
give the people the numbers on Giannis and on Lillard, the two guys that can kill you for the Bucks, what their final numbers tallied up.
Yeah, I mean, combined 11 for 34. That's the kind of thing you're looking for. And Draymond, again, is just a terror out there. Like, I guess, again, it's like talking about Steph's offense, right? I mean, maybe he was better when he won Defensive Player of the Year, but it's hard to tell what the difference is. He is absolutely on 11 on the defensive end, and you can tell. And Jimmy Butler did everything tonight, I still don't think we've seen the real Jimmy Butler game, but I think on a night like tonight, his approach is really good because he knows with Steph Curry not there, he's got to get some other guys going to get enough scoring to win this thing. And, what was it? 24, 10, and 8?
Not a bad day at the office.
I don't know what more you want from him. And he goes down with 5 turnovers, but like some of those were passes that were perfectly decent and got fumbled on the receiving end. So Jimmy, 11 for 11 from the free throw line. You can see the way that affects the team. You shouldn't necessarily win with 104 points in today's NBA, but when you play defense like this and you play together and you rise up to the key moments, this is a team that can get it done. I'm still waiting for everything to really click.
Yeah, I'll pose the question later on. I'll pose it right now, and we can answer it later on. The Warriors have a top 3 defense in the NBA with Jimmy Butler and now with Pods back too, because I think Pods has slept on a little bit as a defender. He's good team defender out there. But let's talk about Curry for a minute, because Kerr said that Steph's turnovers in the loss against Denver, 7 of them, a lot of them were just attributed to him being mentally exhausted. Didn't say physically, but physically his back's been hurting, and it's literally from carrying the whole team, right? Like, he has been exceptional the past month. So Curry needed a night. He gets his night. The Warriors needed a win. And this is once again another game, a big game that they've won without him. I mean, they fought hard with Oklahoma City earlier in the year without Steph. Didn't win it, but fought to the final possession. So they've played well in some pretty difficult games without Curry on the floor. And like we mentioned, it was legit everyone. You go up and down the box score. It's 24 for Butler. It's 14 for Quentin Post, who knocks down 4 3-pointers. He had taken 8 by like the 6-minute mark of the second quarter. It's like, geez, Quentin, how many are you going to fire up? But he knocks him down, man. And Butler has a nice connection. We say this with Butler and many players on the Warriors, but he has a nice like skip pass to, exactly what I'm talking about, to Post, where he sees the tree, over in the left wing or whatever, and skips it over to him. And Quentin seems to knock it down quite a bit. Moody had 7, Podziemski 17, 10 for Kuminga, and then 15 for Buddy Hield. Gary Payton had 8, and Payton played exceptional defense. So we'll continue this conversation. We'll talk about the Warriors defense as a whole. Brandin Podziemski returning to the mix. What all does he bring? But I want to ask right out of the chute here. I guess it's not really the shoot, considering we're 8.5 minutes in, getting ready for a break. But who gets your game ball? Is it Jimmy? Is it stock answer Jimmy? Do you give it to Brandin with the way he had stones down the stretch, couple massive dagger threes.
Yeah, it's Pods for me.
You're giving it to Pods? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his hometown.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to have a perfect game for a minute. I think he ended up missing 1 or 2. He ended up missing, 4. It seemed like he was hitting everything he was throwing up. He didn't touch the rim on those first 3 or 4 shots. And like you said, they needed a couple big shots down the stretch to push him across the finish line.
And Payton had one too. Payton had a huge one.
This looked like a team on the back half of a back-to-back, just trying to get this thing across the finish line before the wheels come off, And look, sometimes you got to win that way. That's it. That's the end of that sentence. I mean, it's something that the Warriors, I think, have, again, before Jimmy Butler, struggled terribly to do.
I mean, you have the dramatic pauses sometimes, man.
I get it.
I don't know.
It's
that's
on
how
me.
we'll have to go moving forward. Just end of sentence. Okay, I move on. Yeah, so that 8-0 run in the final 90 seconds of the third, the Buddy Hield bucket and the Butler baiting the foul on the three, and then Warriors just going ham in the fourth. It was Buddy, it was Butler. That was the difference in your game. We're going to get into that at the end of this game, and then just Podziemski's play as a whole, Draymond's defense. We'll peel this thing back and discuss a win before we look ahead to what should be a favorable stretch for the Warriors. Now is the time to make a little separation between yourself and the pack. Start winning some of these basketball games. It's Matt Kolsky, Chuck Walter. This is Locked On Warriors. We continue after this.
And most importantly, he a dog.
We need more dogs.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Prizepicks. Let me tell you a little bit about them. Basketball season's heating up, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prizepicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prizepicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. It's easy to use. It's available in over 30 states and lets you mix and match projections across different sports. You build your lineups. Is it going to be more or less on a player or on their points, on their rebounds, on whatever it may be? It's quick and easy. You can do it in under 60 seconds. Fast payouts. There's no waiting around. You get paid in as little as 15 minutes. And there are deals. On Tuesdays, they got Taco Tuesdays, where you get 25% off on select player projections, which gives you some value to your lineup. So download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prizepicks, run your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Hungryroot. When it comes to grocery shopping and meal planning, I've had this ongoing problem, everyone. I just don't have the time between work, life, trying to eat healthier. You cook, then you got to clean all the pans. They stack up and you have Mount Everest in your kitchen. It's a disaster. In eating healthy, it's a struggle as well. But everything changed when I discovered Hungryroot. It's the easiest way to eat healthy, and it comes with no stress. With Hungryroot, it's like having a personal shopper and a nutritionist all in one. They take care of your grocery shopping, recommend meals and groceries based off your taste and health goals, from high protein to gluten-free options. And the best part, every meal is ready in 15 minutes or less. Talking quick, healthy meals that actually taste great, all delivered straight to your door. It's a huge time saver and makes your health habits easier. You're going to love Hungryroot as much as I do. So get 40% off your first box and a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Use code LockedOnNBA. Hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA to get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. Hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA. Do not miss out. Let's get back to the show.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
All right, let's start with the hot stretch that the Warriors had in this game, going up by 17 points. Legitimately, everyone played well. Do you credit more the Warriors just coming out with some fire, or was it just the Bucks not looking good? And frankly, in the last 10, they've just been whatever. Missing some shots today. They shot at 31% from deep, under 40% from the floor. You giving all the credit in the world to Golden State? Is it a little half and half? What are your thoughts based on how the Warriors were able to get out to a 17-point lead?
Yeah, it's half and half for me. There were a number. I mean, Bob and Kalena were talking about it. There were a number of wide open threes that the Bucks just missed, and you got to catch a few of those breaks along the way. That was the first half. In the second half, they started making them, and I really did think in the fourth quarter it was largely Warriors defense. I mean, it seemed like every three the Bucks took in the fourth, there was a hand right in their face. There was some I can picture a couple of particularly good closeouts on good shooters. Draymond, I mean, the way he defends around the basket at his size is just unbelievable. There's never been anyone like that in the history of the NBA. Never has a guy who, I don't know what they list him at, but 6'6" is what he is. And like Barkley played offense like a big man at that size and dominated, but not defense like Draymond. It doesn't make any sense. I know he's got long arms and everything, but what he does defensively is superhuman, and it's awesome to watch.
7'1" wingspan. That'll help.
That
your
helps.
cause,
That helps.
sure.
But still, there's been guys with 7'1" wingspans. You know what I mean? Like, he just is.
Yeah.
He's another beast entirely. And for a couple months now, the defensive level from Draymond in particular, but the team generally has been elite. Are they a top 3 defense in the NBA? Look, on any given night, sure, there's some really good defenses, so it's tough to say for sure, but they're in the conversation. I would say so anyway.
I'm pretty happy that there was no cruise control element to this game, that the Warriors had to face a ton of adversity, right? They stared into the eyes of adversity, and after about 30 seconds, adversity started blinking in that staring contest. The Warriors get the win, blowing a 17-point lead and going down 6 in the final stages of the third quarter. Like, this had all the makings of maybe not a Bucks runaway win, but just a disappointing loss after you felt like you played really well for the first, 26 minutes or something of the game, and you really let it slip. And the fact that the Warriors were able to not just win, but really dominate most of that fourth quarter. I know the 9-point lead was cut down to 3 late, and it got very interesting the last few minutes of this game. But just the fact that every punch that was thrown the Warriors' way, they were able to respond in different ways, right? It's a Payton 3, it's a Podziemski 3, it's Butler getting to the line pretty consistently. It's Butler looking like the alpha that he is, trying to take over on the offensive side of the ball and just forcing his way to the basket. It's him pulling up from 7 feet and rolling one in. It's him knocking down a 3 and taking the contact in the process. It's him getting to the line 11 times, knocking them all down. So for me, I didn't really answer it. He's going to be my player of the game, with Podziemski as a 1B honorary mention. But I did think Butler was truly phenomenal. But let's give Payton some credit now, because he was the one that was tasked mostly with guarding Dame Lillard, who went 6 of 18, 2 of 9 from 3, and had 16 points and a little homecoming for Dame time. I thought Moody did a good job defensively when he had his chances out there. A relatively quiet day for Moody, 2 of 9, 7 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. But those are 2 guys that on the box score only combined for 15. We're not going to talk about them a whole ton. They're definitely not getting their names mentioned on SportsCenter in the highlight package. But for those that watched this game, the real ones, they were huge.
Moody just, I don't want to go back to old stuff, but like, where would this team be if they made different choices starting in the first week of the season?
What do you mean by that?
Well,
in terms of playing time, because it's some
you telling me
with all the
Moses
trades
Moody,
they made.
Are you telling me Moses Moody couldn't do this in October?
Well, they had Lindy Waters.
I don't. Yeah, come on. I don't believe that. I don't believe that he couldn't do this in October. I don't believe that the Jonathan Kuminga we saw before the injury couldn't have existed in November. Then again, as you say, maybe then they don't have Jimmy Butler. Who knows what that looks like? But it's a weird sliding doors thing, because it really is, as soon as he started getting a consistent 20 minutes a night, Moses Moody he's a winning player. He affects the game positively. You said it. He didn't shoot well tonight. Some nights he comes out, he knocks down 5 threes. It's like, all right, it's obvious he's a winning player. But what you're seeing from him that I think really moves the needle, especially for Steve Kerr, is he's 2 of 9 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3 tonight. And they were all reasonable shots. He just missed them. And he still finds a way to help the team. 7 rebounds, 3 assists. He plays good defense. He's in the right places. He's doing the right things. So much time was wasted with this guy and Jonathan Kuminga harping on the things they don't do, when we're seeing the things that they do are helpful. So I'm glad Moody is getting his opportunity. I think the days of DNPs or garbage time for him are long gone, and
Yeah.
I think everybody is better off for it.
Yeah, and the Corey Joseph one never really made sense. Lindy Waters at the beginning of this year, that didn't
I
make
like
sense
Lindy Waters, but like
Moody's better, and you had just signed him. That's the big thing. Like, you had just inked him up to a 3-year, $13 million deal, and that's what I was saying at the beginning of the year. It's like, you don't believe in him. Why are you signing him to a decent size, not decent size, but a decent length contract of 3 years? The one that a lot of people do get on Steve Kerr about, though, was Ty Jerome. And I think based off what we've seen from Ty Jerome this year, there may have been
man
some,
of the year, Ty Jerome.
there may have been some credibility to that one right there, because he's actually pretty good. The Anthony Lamb, we can.
I never got on Steve Kerr about Ty Jerome. I always thought Ty Jerome was an NBA player. Anthony Lamb plainly was not, and also had some nasty controversy in his past.
It's clear, man. It's clear what this rotation is going to look like, though. And in terms of an odd man out, I mean, it's Trace Jackson Davis or Kevon Looney in terms of the bigs, one of the two pretty consistently. And lately it's been Trace. And then in terms of the guards, I think you're just going to get, instead of 25 minutes from Buddy, you're going to get 15. Instead of 25 from Payton, you may get 20, 15, and the minutes will dwindle that way. But
I don't know, man. I think you might be underrating that a little bit, because you're missing 35 minutes of Steph Curry tonight.
Yeah.
That's basically all of Buddy Hield and, half of Brandin Podziemski combined. So there is a crunch at the guard spot, and I think it's going to be a night-to-night thing. There are nights when you're going to absolutely need Buddy, and there are nights when you're going to absolutely need Gary Payton. I think the guys who play regardless are Podziemski and Moody.
It's funny, though, because this has all come full circle. The mantra before the season was the whole, we're going to run 12 guys out there, and then the pundits would get on the television screens and they'd say Steve Kerr he's an animal. He's an idiot. Like, what's he thinking trying to run 12 guys out there? We've never seen this in the NBA. What did they do tonight? They went 5. They went 6. They went about 10 deep. I mean, if you consider 6 minutes from Pat Spencer that he had running 10 deep, but hey, they went 10 deep without Curry, man.
They put Curry. I mean, it might only be 6 minutes for Spencer and Looney and 4 for TJD, but they went to him in the second quarter. I mean, those were real minutes. That's 12 dudes who played. I don't think that's normal. But the depth is still a factor. I mean,
the depth is better, which is crazy, because you lost 4 players, you bring in 1, and the depth is truly better.
Yeah, what's funny? You're right, and it's because they really did have like 15 NBA players, and that doesn't help. But if you have one more great NBA player, numbers 11, 12, and 13 look an awful lot better when they're on the floor with him, instead of, Jonathan Kuminga being the best player on the second unit. No disrespect, obviously, to Kuminga. It's just everything has changed since Jimmy Butler, and tonight was another announcement of that.
All right, let's get into this stretch that the Dubs have coming up. I'm going to read this schedule to you all, and you're going to be salivating like one of Ivan Pavlov's dogs. This is the stretch coming up. And I know we said that, I don't even know what month. These are all blending together at this point. I think it was like December. They had a stretch of like 6 straight games that was supposed to be very winnable, and I think they went like 2 and 4. So we'll cross our fingers. We'll knock on some wood, but you just wait until you hear who the schedule is bringing forth coming up for the Warriors. And also Jonathan Kuminga struggled a little bit in the game today. We're going to get into that. Let's give Buddy Hield some flowers, who was huge as the Warriors win 104-93 over the Milwaukee Bucks, who sit in 4th place in the East.
Who can stop Steph Curry?
Hopefully we'll never find out.
Today's episode is brought to you by Robinhood. I'll tell you a little bit about Robinhood if you give me about 2 seconds here. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. It's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk, rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from your first match. You must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC. As of November 18th, 2024, Robinhood Financial LLC Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. And we got the NCAA tournament. It's already tipped off. Alabama State from Montgomery with a huge win for them over St. Francis in the NCAA tournament to tip it off. North Carolina takes down San Diego State. The bracket is here. Fill it out and check out this.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Forget that. We champs. Why are you starting with that question? We got 4 championships.
And shout out to Locked On Warriors, Kylan Mills, who is hosting that program. And Gordon Hayward, who is co-hosting, and some others.
Don't call the play-ins the NCAA tournament, bro. Come on. Are you contractually obligated to? Come on. Do we work for CBS? Give me a break.
Come on.
Give me a break.
The slipper still fits. Tell those kids from Alabama State that game doesn't mean anything. They get the chance to go up against Auburn.
I will never besmirch the meaning of a college basketball game. I did not say it had no meaning. I said it is not the NCAA tournament, and I stand by that.
It's the play-in, which at this point feels like it was implemented like 15 years ago. So,
God, isn't it sad how old we are? Anyway,
yeah, that happens from time to time. So they say. The Warriors have some old guys on this team, and it does not seem to affect them whatsoever as they get right back to their winning ways after a loss to the Nuggets. They win by 11. Who you taking in the Final Four, the championship? I got Houston going all the way. You filled one out?
Chuck, I quit brackets a couple years ago.
You're anti-college basketball, aren't you?
I am. I'm deeply anti-college sports altogether, but that's not why. I just don't need the stress. I don't know what's going on. Like I was filling it out at random and then getting mad at myself for missing picks about teams I didn't know the name of a single player on. It was a waste of time and energy. It has gone the way in my life of fantasy sports. Like I don't need the stress. I got enough.
Fantasy, well, that's a commitment. A bracket, literally just pick the higher numbers. Go Obama and just be like, you know what? I got Alabama, I got Auburn, I got like, dude, Barack, you picked every 1 and 2 seed. Way to go out on a whim. He's like, I took it 11 over a 6 in the first round.
Exactly. I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the Warriors. We have 6, 7, 8, 9. We're down to 13 games in 14. The regular season.
Isn't it
14? Can I not count?
Nope, you're right. It's 13. I can't count. Good job.
Learn how to count, bud.
Stretch
coming up. On paper is very favorable. It's Toronto. Then it's a big road trip. 6 games at Atlanta, at Miami, at New Orleans, at San Antonio. That's 5 teams that most likely aren't even going to make the play-in or are going to be very low in the play-in if you consider Atlanta and others. So that's a really good stretch that you have. And you have a chance to avenge a loss to Toronto that seems like an eternity ago at this point in the season. After that, it gets difficult. It's at Memphis. It's at Los Angeles. It's Denver. It's Houston. You've got Phoenix, and then you finish up with San Antonio, Portland, and LA. So this 5-game stretch right here with Toronto, Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, San Antonio, this 5-game stretch, if the Warriors can go 5-0, they can find a way to go 5-0. You may get the separation you need. If the Wolves just slip up 2 or 3 times, you take that 2.5-game lead into April, into a road matchup against Memphis, Los Angeles, Denver, Houston, and then you can kind of split that. You can go into the last potential week of the season, enter the final weekend of April 11th, and if you have yourself a 2-game lead or more, you're you're coasting. You're good unless the Clippers have climbed back up. And
Yeah.
that's what you want, man. You don't want any stressful basketball past April 8th. I would love for that game against Phoenix to be the clincher, where it's just like we would have to really suck and the Wolves would have to be really good in order for this to go awry. And in order for you to get in that position, you got to take care of the stretch coming up and hope that the Wolves just lose one, get a little separation.
Yeah, I mean, the trick of this is that the Wolves also have a wildly easy schedule. They get New Orleans twice. Their next two, in fact, are against New Orleans. They get Indiana again, Phoenix, Detroit. They also have Denver and Memphis on the schedule, and one with Milwaukee that could be a little tougher. But their schedule is actually, like, on paper, notably easier than the Warriors. So I don't know that I have a lot of faith that the Warriors will create much space, but your point is still well taken. Like, there is that 4-game stretch at Memphis, at Los Angeles, home against Denver and Houston, and at LA, home Denver is a back-to-back. Like, 2-2 is
you don't want to be tied up heading into April. You don't want to be tied up heading into April. Let's put it that way.
You have to at least maintain the lead you have. And,
yes.
and you hate to say, like, if you don't go on a 5-game win streak 6-game, including tonight, win streak right now, you're in trouble. But they kind of got to win all these games. And the good news is all 5 of these teams absolutely stink. Toronto is terrible. Atlanta, all right, I guess they're like just like pretty bad, not terrible. But
they looked horrible when the Warriors played them earlier in the year, but their case study shows that they're not as bad as they were the first time they played.
Yeah, I think you take Andrew Wiggins out to dinner and get him real calm before the Miami game. That should be no problem. New Orleans has had a year from hell, and they stink. San Antonio has no players left. They're all shut down for the year. Got to win those games. Those teams are bad. Win those games.
Forget 4-1. We're not talking 4-1. It's 5-0.
It's got to be 5-0 because I think, again, 2-2 in that tough 4-game stretch is more likely than not. It's just really hard. So get those wins now to make sure you have at least a little cushion over Minnesota because, again, they may be 5-0 over the next few games too. But right now, there's no time to be messing around with bad teams. All the messing around with bad teams was done early in the season, and they did it too much, and that's why they're in the 6th spot instead of the 4th or 5th or 3rd, for that matter, or 2nd with as close as things are. So there's no room for error really the rest of the year, but especially against these bad teams in the next 5.
No, and what's crazy is 40-29. If you would have put this same record, flipped the calendar 365 days and gone to last year, someone in the chat probably has the Saber metrics queued up and ready to go. They're like, Chuck, bring me in, Chuck. I know the answer to this. 40-29, March 18th of last year. You think that's top 5 in the West worthy? Like, I mean, they're already about to hit their over. They're a week away from hitting that 43.5. So for those of you that got the tickets that we said earlier in the year, don't cash them yet, but have them on ice.
It's looking good for the over. I certainly expect that to hit, and I had them over at the start of the year. Let's see. I mean, the 6th seed
had 32 wins or something like that. So he's been he's just a bit outside.
The Mavericks were 50-32 to finish the season as the 5th seed. 51-31 was 4th. So you figure, those teams were probably in that range heading into the final stretch of the season. But, you might have been in 6th last year too, to be honest. Like, it's just the Western Conference is really tough. Things are all packed together, and you don't have to win out, but damn close.
Yeah, you would be tied for 3rd place right now with the Knicks in the Eastern Conference if somehow you picked up your franchise and put them back in Philly. But for now,
I mean,
for never, that's not the case.
They would probably be, it's hard to say 1st or 2nd as good as those teams have been, but easily 3rd because their record would be better if they were in the Eastern Conference. But alas, that's not how this works.
All right, let's get ready for Toronto. Raptors are up next. Thanks, everyone, for chilling with us tonight. It's always fun doing these shows after a Golden State Warriors win, and we have them after just about every single game, Monday through Friday. We've had on guests in the last 2 weeks like Festus Ezeli and Kevin Harlan, and sometimes when we're lucky, Matt Kolsky joins the show. See ya, folks.
When I'm lucky, really, is the truth of it.
Oh, you're too kind.